Hello everyone, and welcome back to another wildly exciting Bible study. Today in Joshua chapter, what are we on? 19. No, but seriously, thank you to everyone who's tuning in, and especially to everybody who joins us every single day for every single study. We do a study a day, well, we try to at least, and we'll continue that, Lord willing. There's PDFs, which you'll see up on the screen, but you can also download on our website for free. Okay, Joshua 19. When did the events of Joshua 19 take place on the history of the world, on the world timeline? Well, we've been talking about the Israelites going into the Promised Land and conquering it, and that occurred around 1450 BC, and it lasted about anywhere between 5 to 7 years. Who are our characters for this chapter? The main characters that we're going to talk about. First of all, we're going to talk about Joshua. He's the one who the name's booked after. The book is named after, and he is the leader of the Israelites. We're also going to talk about the tribes of Simeon, Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and Dan. These were the last 6 tribes to receive their land inheritance in the Promised Land. In terms of our map, the Israelites moved their camp from Gilgal to Shiloh, and you'll see Shiloh northwest of Gilgal on the map there. From Shiloh, Joshua then divided up the Promised Land between these last 6 remaining tribes. He did that at the entrance of the tabernacle. Hopefully you've had a chance to read chapter 19. You'll notice that there's a lot of names, a lot of places that are mentioned, because it's very similar to the last couple chapters that we've been talking about of how the land was divided up. And these cities mark the borders of the land of each of the tribes. So again, that's kind of what we're talking about. And rather than an application in this chapter, I've got the map, which helps us visualize what's being talked about. So let's talk about section number 1, verses 1 through 48. Quite a big section. This is the land that was given to the tribes of Simeon, Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and Dan. So this is what the chapter is all about, describing their borders and where each of these tribes was to be receiving property. Now, Simeon is worth noting here. Simeon actually received their inheritance within the tribe of Judah, because we're told that Judah had more land than they actually needed. So you'll notice on our map below that Simeon is like right smack dab in Judah. The last and definitely the smallest section of this chapter, verses 49 through 51, talk about the land that was given to Joshua. So the Israelites decided that they were going to give Joshua a portion of land, inheritance of his own, and he received the city of Timnath-Serah, which was in the hill country of Ephraim. He rebuilt the city and he settled there. All right, so that is That is Joshua chapter 19. We'll take a look at our map now. I think in the last chapter, we talked about the inheritance of the tribe of Benjamin. So in the last chapter, Benjamin had received their land, Judah, Ephraim and Manasseh, and then Gad and Reuben. And I think that was everybody. So all the new ones have been added in this chapter, and this is what all the names and the places in this chapter are doing. They're specifying these borders. So I will encourage you to go out and look at some other maps maybe online. There have been a lot of archaeologists and historians who have worked really hard to put together these maps, and there is some debate about where some of these locations that are mentioned are, just because this was a really long time ago, and cities, villages, locations, their name changed, they kind of get destroyed or abandoned, wiped out from the history books, and there's no record of them to be able to trace back. So the borders in some of the maps change a little bit, and I'd encourage you to go compare those, but this is what we'll work with for the foreseeable future. All right, that is Joshua chapter 19. All the tribes now have their land.